Did you know that conducting a thorough title search and obtaining title insurance are essential steps in any real estate transaction? Hello and welcome back to Investing Jersey. My name is Gopar Gregorian with Keller Williams Realty, and today I have a special guest from Carnegie Title, Justin Griffith, and we will be discussing the importance of a home title search and insurance when buying or selling a property. Let's dive in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And we always love to hear your comments. So, Justin, what is title? Let's talk about why our buyers need title and title insurance.
Very common question. Most people start the home buying process and they really just get into searching for the home and they don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes. It's really important that you do a thorough title search before you purchase a property. What we're going to do is we're going to search all available public records related to that property, as well as the people who own it. So we're going to search for liens, judgments, any defect in title, as well as, personal information that would be against that seller. And the reason that we do this is we want to make sure that when you purchase a home, there's nothing that could stand in the way from you owning it outright. So that's the reason that we do a title search, which I think is a very important part.
That's one of the most important things to do when purchasing a home. After finding the beautiful home, then the title search is one of the most important things to do.
Again, you want to go into any sort of transaction with all the information and all the confidence that what you're doing is the right thing and that you're going to be having no issues going forward.
So Justin, we talked about the search. So tell me a little bit more about title insurance. What is title insurance and why do our buyers need to purchase a title insurance?
When you go to purchase a home, you would do the search first. Carnegie Title, we would help, assist you with that process. The second part of what we do is we act as the settlement agent. So we're going to help, in coordination with your attorney and your lender. We're going to get you to the closing table, which is everybody's favorite day. It's very exciting. What happens at the closing table is your title insurance policy now goes into effect. So we agreed that anything that we found is cleared up and you own the home outright. This insurance policy, which is a one-time premium, you don't have to keep paying for this every year, and it'll be in effect for the length that you own the property. This will now protect you and as the owner for any future defects. So for example, let's say we did a very thorough search, but something got missed or there was an error in some of the paperwork. Your title insurance policy would protect you against any loss that would be the result of that error or that omission or something like that. So it's very important to have homeowner's title insurance policy.
That sounds amazing. So you mean that one of our buyers, when they purchase a home and for the previous seller had a brother or sister, they thought they own part of the home, they can come back and not claim to be the owner, so it can...
Yeah, so, undisclosed heirs is a thing that, kind of comes up every now and then in the title insurance business, but your insurance policy would protect you from that. So, they would come to some sort of settlement between the insurance company and that claimant if their claim was legit, but that insurance process would be, would find out about, what that really is.
Perfect. Also, sometimes sellers have lien on a property that they're not aware of. That's a perfect way of making sure that you're buying clear home title.
Yeah, I always like to think of the search process of what title is as just another level of due diligence before you buy a home. So, you're taking buyers out and you're researching the neighborhood, the school district, all of those things. You want to do that extra level and make sure that property is free and clear of no liens or judgments. So we work real hard and, we try to do our best to make sure that doesn't happen for you. But again, that's the purpose of that insurance policy, that if, God forbid something did happen, your buyers would always be protected. So, it's very important.
And a lot of times we get the question where our buyers are asking, I'm already getting the insurance from my mortgage company. Why do I need the title insurance, right?
Okay. So yeah, those are two different things that we're discussing. So you need to buy homeowner's insurance, which is very important in case a storm happens and a tree goes through your roof, something like that. That protects you from that. When it comes to title, there are two different types of policies. One, if you are taking a mortgage, your lender is going to require that the lender has a title insurance policy. And then the additional optional policy that you could buy is to protect you as the homeowner. So if you're taking out a mortgage, a large part of the insurance would be dedicated to the lender's policy, because that's the larger amount. And then the smaller part would be what you've put down in a down payment that would be covered under your policy. Now, the beauty of this is you have both policies. They're in place. Now, let's say 30 years has passed. You've paid off your lender's policy. Now you no longer have a mortgage. That policy goes away, but your homeowner's policy from the title company stays in place for the length that you own that and the lifetime that you own that. And it actually can be transferred to your heirs should you set it up that way.
Wow, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for clarifying that.
Yeah. It is because it has to be written like that, the title quote, and you'll see lender's policy, homeowner's policy. So it does generate a lot of questions. Yeah, confusions or just questions, which I always think questions are the best way to get to really understand the home buying process. Is just ask. We're here to help.
Absolutely. And I always mention that too. Always ask question. There is no wrong question. It's always good to ask. And
well, you know all this stuff anyway, so your buyers feel confident with you. So that's
sounds good. So Justin, what fees are associated with the title search and insurance?
Sure. So as I explained before, we kind of act as three parts. So the search, the settlement, and the insurance. The fees are sort of set up to coincide with those. So there are costs associated with the search work, whether it's through the county and searching those individual sellers, their names. So there's fees associated with that. Then we act as I said, the settlement agent. So there are some fees associated with that. Now these will vary from company to company. My company may charge X, and another company may charge Y for that. And those are all set up in that regard. But the fee associated with the insurance premium, that one-time cost, that actually is fixed by the state. So that's not a number that we can negotiate. That's based off of the purchase price and or the loan amount. So again, talking about those two different types of policies. So when your buyer is, maybe shopping for different title companies, there may be some variations in some of the processing fees, but the cost of the premium, the insurance, will remain the same whether you come to us or another title company.
Okay.
Yeah, New Jersey is very good about regulating those costs. So
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit more about the process. What would the closing process look like?
Again, once the search work is completed, and this typically takes anywhere from 3 to 5 days for us to compile all that stuff. Then we have a team of examiners look through all of the raw data to make sure that we're not missing anything. Then it gets typed up into what's called the title binder. This title binder is basically a summary of the search results. So this way it's in plain English that everybody can see. This will also include a copy of the survey, as well as a flood determination, a flood report. So this will all be, in that title binder. Once we have that, we will work in coordination, as I said, with your attorney and your mortgage company to get all the documents in place and get you to the closing table. So we, as the title company, typically we can go as fast as the lender wants to go. If your lender is moving quickly, we can, sort of meet you at that pace and get you to the closing table as fast as possible. If it's a cash purchase, if the title is clear and we don't see any issues in that title report or that title binder, we could be ready to close pretty quickly for you as well.
That's great. Thank you so much, Justin. This was amazing information for our buyers. And I also want to touch on selling side, right? We talked about how important the title is for the buyer, but now let's talk about sellers. Why a seller should consider doing a title search when they're selling a home?
I recommend that I counsel a lot of realtors that I work with. When you're doing that listing presentation and, getting ready to list a property, try to look for and ask some questions to that homeowner that will be selling the property. If there's anything that may come up in a title search, and explain to them what that really is. Liens against them or their businesses, judgments, maybe they're in credit card debt, default of credit card or medical bills, anything that would be associated with them, or, did they do anything to, use their deed as collateral to pay off a debt or something like that. So if you could start asking some of those initial questions, you may get a sense that, there might be something that would come up on the buyer's title search. So what we recommend is you can do a preliminary title search, a rundown. It's not expensive. You're only paying for the search cost at that point. And we don't even have to type it up or examine it for you, but we can give you that raw data so you could see what might possibly come up in the future so that you can get ahead of it. And I think that makes the home buying process much better for everybody. So you, as the listing agent, now you know that when you put it on the market, you're not going to have any issues. So it's very similar to, I know a lot of people sometimes do like a pre-home inspection, right? They get, you want to know what somebody's going to find, so you have an opportunity to fix it. And this would be the same sort of principle.
Of course, to do your due diligence in the beginning to make sure you have a smooth process, because a lot of times the seller, when they're ready to sell the home, they have plans where they're going to go, and things when they come up on a search, any liens or judgments can take a long time to satellite, right?
Yeah, it can. Yeah, we see it a lot with like older properties and older people. Let's say they had a mortgage that they paid off, many years ago, and then that company that they had the mortgage with is no longer in business.
Yes.
If we can't find the proper paperwork that shows that was paid off, that could be an issue going forward. So there are things like that. Like, again, if you know that could be out there, it's best to consult a title company to say, hey, listen, let me invest a few dollars in this to make sure that we're going to have no problem selling the house in the future.
Of course. Justin, we know that there are so many title companies out there. Why work with Carnegie Title?
Well, I said before, it really comes down to quality of service and experience, which I do believe that we have. But really, there's some other direct benefits that your buyer could receive from working with us. So, for example, upon closing with us, not only does your insurance policy go into place, but we use a program called Digital Docs, which is a secure cloud-based storage system for all of your closing documents. So this is really helpful for when you have to come tax time, you may need some paperwork, or if you're going to refinance, all of your information from your closing is stored securely for you. And not all title companies do that. Usually you just get a package, you stick it into your safe someplace, or you bury it in a filing cabinet, and then you're pulling your hair out trying to find it come tax time or in those. So that's one benefit that we do offer to our home buyers.
Justin, let's talk about some title issues that comes up during the search process that can create some drama at the end of the closing.
Yeah, drama at the end of the closing is something we try to avoid at all costs. Yeah, so listen, during the search process, we are going to potentially uncover a lot of things. Some common stuff that we see out there would be, improper paperwork. So like if a mortgage was paid off but not discharged properly, if we don't have that associated paperwork to go with that could be something that could be out there. Liens or judgments against the sellers. So let's just say, your seller had a dispute with a contractor and decided not to pay them. That contractor could go back and file what's called a mechanics lien against the home, meaning that if that home gets sold, they could get, a right to get their money owed from the sale of that house. So those are sometimes things that we see out there, which, have to be navigated carefully and to get us to the closing table.
So what would happen in that case? Let's say you found that lien or judgment that been like years ago on the property, and now we're at the closing table. How are we gonna solve this issue?
Yeah, those can be a little sticky, to be honest with you, because they have to get in contact with the contractor and they have to come to some sort of settlement. If they want to sell their property, they have to come up with something to make that right. So they'd have to negotiate that sort of outside of our purview, but that would have to be what we call it cleared, so you can get clear title on.
So they need to negotiate, get a solution, and that document to you so you can move forward with
exactly that would be in the case of like a lien. When we were talking about missing paperwork and stuff like that, that is something that a title company can help assist with. That would be part of our settlement service. But yeah, those can be a little challenging. But for being in this business a long time, we've seen a lot of these things, and so we do know how, and we do have the resources to handle them. But
what are some other issues that come up?
Yeah, a big one for us is property line disputes. I think that especially living here in northern New Jersey, we're pretty densely populated. Our houses are close together, so those things can get a little funny from town to town. So we always recommend that you do a survey before you purchase a home. This way, exactly what your boundaries are and where they end. But this sometimes will uncover some things that may have been done. So your neighbor behind you could have built a shed without a permit and put it on your property. It's better to know that going in versus finding it out later. So yeah, that's property lines, easements, things like that. So those are all things that can come up in the search and survey process.
The survey always helps because sometimes they have the fence on the neighbor's property or the driveway goes a different way.
Yeah.
And it can be that the previous buyer of that property didn't do the survey and they're not aware of.
Right.
But when you're purchasing again, as a new buyer, That's important because you're responsible for your purchase. You have to do your due diligence.
Exactly,
and not rely on what the seller knows, because maybe that seller don't know what happened previously.
So I mean, even I know every company is a little different, but even for us, like we will not accept an old survey. Like we want something more updated, and then they'd have to sign an affidavit that nothing was changed in those recent years. So for even us, we're becoming a little more strict with our process just to protect the buyer. And ultimately that's what it's all about. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things that can happen, but you really need a team of professionals that know what they're doing. So not only the title company, but the attorney and the surveyor. Those people all, if you get them involved in your process and you have a solid team, usually there's solutions to everything. That's the way I like to think about it. There's no problems, there's only solutions. So it's
absolutely. So if you have a right team in place and a problem arises, they know how to handle it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Conducting a comprehensive title search and obtaining title insurance are essential steps in any real estate transaction. They help protect your investment and ensure a smooth transfer of ownership. Thanks for watching this episode. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more real estate tips. If you have any questions, comment below or click the link to schedule consultation.